Today, we're going to be talking about 10 of the best cores for VGC in Regulation D. Now, the very first core I want to talk about here, guys, is probably one of the more standard cores in VGC, and that is the classic Firewater Grass core. Now, there are a couple different versions that you can run with this. I do think this is probably the most standard one, and that is the Rillaboom, Urshifu, Rapid Strike, and Heatran. Now, the reason I think this core is so damn good is because this is a pretty decent, obviously Firewater Grass is just a fantastic core, but these mons are pretty, deceptively bulky while also having a lot of offensive power. Now, if you look at a Pokemon like Rillaboom, obviously it gives you the Grassy Surge, which is just a fantastic ability right now. And then you look at its stats, it hits really, really damn hard. Now, very similar to Urshifu, this mon has very, very similar bulk to Rillaboom. Unfortunately, when you run these two mons together, you do only have access to the one Assault Vest, which I do think is probably a little bit better on the Rillaboom. But again, fantastic defensive stats, very good, HP, attack, and defense. Pretty decent speed again, they're all deceptively quick. And then Heatran is the exact same thing, right? Very, very bulky, Heatran's got an average speed tier, but very good offensive stats. So when you run a core like this, it is very common to see something like Assault Vest, Grassy Surge. You go here, maybe something like a Mystic Water, and then Heatran can just run something like Leftovers, right? Now, in regards to sets, I think on Rillaboom in particular, Fake Out and like Woodhammer are like your always go-tos. Like you're always gonna have Fake Out. You're probably always gonna have Woodhammer. You can maybe go for Drum Beating if you really want the speed control. I do think also though on a mon like this, U-Turn is like without a doubt just absolutely necessary. And then again, this last move can be whatever you want. You can go for something like a knockoff. You've got the one I just said, Drum Beating. There's things like Low Kick, I believe it gets. Yeah, it gets that. It gets Brick Break if you're worried about screens. This one just has a lot of good utility, right? I like Knockoff just for Cresselia. I'll do the spreads once as well, just to give you guys an idea of like what I like to run. So I personally run something like this. Yeah, we got to like 116. It's like roughly like about there. Dump the rest there, put one in there. And that's about all this mon needs, because we'll touch on why, I guess. So you run up to 108, because again, 108 is just a fantastic speed tier to hit when you're running this with, some of the partners that are really good. I like Terra Water personally. On this guy too, we'll go Terra Water. You can run Banded Shifu as well. I think AV is fine if you go for a different grass type, something like say an Amoonguss or something along those lines. But personally, I like Terra Water. I like Aqua Jet. I like the Surging Strikes, Close Combat. That's substitutes. God damn it. Surging Strikes, and then you just go Protect in the last slot. Something like that's really damn good. Again, the EV spread on a Pokemon like this as well is like entirely up to you. I personally like to go like Adamant and then just go to the bump there. I'd run it to 139, just enough for Tailwind, and then we just go max there, yeah, with Adamant. I think that's pretty damn good. And then Heatran is definitely probably the most interesting of all of these when it comes to the EVs and the moveset, because I think Grass is great. Again, if you've got an AV free, AV on this one is insane. It completely walls Flutterfish, which I think is still really good at the minute. And then in terms of moves, I think Heat Wave's always really good. You can go Flamethrower if you don't want to miss. I like Heat Wave. I think Earth Power was like the other like must-have on this mon. And probably Protect too. I think they're the three moves you probably always want to run. And the last one's entirely up to you. You've got either Flash Cannon or Substitute. So personally, I like Flash Cannon. I know there are a lot of good players out there that like Substitute, because like if you go sub with lefties plus grassy terrain, you just get so much back. And then this mon, you probably want like max HP. You can run a bit of special attack. I personally do like running this like modest max. Probably run this up to like something like 107, just so you're 1 point slower there. And then you can either, it's up to you. You can either dump the rest here, or you can reverse, right? You can just go like max here, dump the rest there. It really doesn't matter that much. I like modest, but again, if you want to play it a bit bulky, you can. I think this mon just needs a bit of HP and just, yeah, you're good to go. But in regards to like potentially swapping these out, obviously this is a Fire Grass Water core. You could always sub out Rillaboom for something like Amoonguss, although I think Amoonguss is a fantastic partner for this core. You can swap out the Urshifu for something like a Palathon or a Gyarados. And then Heatran could, be an Arcanine if you really want to Intimidate. But some of the other mons that I think are fantastic with this team is Tornadus. Now, I won't go too much into the sets for these mons, because we will touch on them a bit later with their own cores. But I think Torn is fantastic. As I said, this is a pretty bulky offensive core with these three here. And if your opponent doesn't have Tailwind, the ability just to set Tailwind with this mon is really good. Also, having Prankster Taunt as well is really, really nice into some matchups, is really good. And then again, this thing has access to things like Rain Dance, which is great if, either you want to buff up your Urshifu, maybe you want to like weaken a Chiyu down for your Rillaboom, stuff like that. This core also loves things like Cresselia. Cresselia is really good at like reversing Trick Room for you. If you're going up against, like an opposing Trick Room team, obviously, being able to like, Fake Out and Trick Room or Protect and Trick Room or something like that, it allows you to start playing mind games with your opponent opponent and stops them from being able to just basically run through you with Trick Room. As we said, you know, you can swap out Rillaboom for Amoonguss. Honestly, you could even just add Amoonguss to this team. Amoonguss is just so damn good. It's like a fantastic defensive pivot. You can bring it in, you can run Rocky Helmet on it, and all of a sudden it's like your own answer to the opposing Urshifu waters. And then just another one, you know, Intimidate's fantastic. I personally love Landorus as an Intimidator. You could even use Landorus I as well if you really wanted like some maybe more offensive Pokemon, but again, I think Landorus T is fantastic, especially if you do say drop like Rillaboom. Landorus T is a fantastic Assault Vest user with Intimidate. This one's so bulky, it gives you things like U-Turn, especially when paired up with Amoonguss as well. Lando T and Amoonguss are just like a fantastic combo. But yeah, so this is one of the most standard ones. It is just your basic Fire, Water, Grass core. So the next core, well, next two cores I really want to touch on here are kind of your Tornadus cores. So Torn right now, in my opinion, has a couple ways of running it. Obviously, you can slap a Covet Cloak on this and maybe go like a more defensive Terra. Personally, my favorite way to play it is Mental Herb with Prankster, because I don't like to run much speed on mine. I like to run pretty bulky. So if, you know, you're up against an opposing Thundurus that is like max speed, they try to taunt you, you set up the Tailwind, and then you can just taunt them back in return. And Terra Ghost is really, really good into, obviously, Fake Out. Now, there are two kind of different ways I think you see this run. The first one we'll go over is pretty similar to how Murkrow was run in Series 3, and that is like, it's your Tailwind setter. It has Sunny Day, it has Taunt, and then it has this brand new beautiful move, Bleak Windstorm. Now, this set is really, really good when paired with the old Flutterfish, right? Flutterfish absolutely loves this core, yeah? Couple of other ones as well that you can really run with this is both Urshifus are really, really good. I think Single Strike's probably a bit better on a team like this. Because obviously, you know, if you're setting the sun for yourself, you don't want to have to, you know, then try to, like, you know, Surging Strike in the sun. So I think Single Strike has a pretty decent role on this as well. There is also Iron Bundle. Iron Bundle is obviously great for a second form of speed control. Then you also just have other really good offensive options as well. Obviously, Great Tusk has always been a great mon on cores like this. You know, it's really nice next to the Tornadus because you can just click EQ. There are other couple ones as well. Indeedy's really good right now, I think, for helping you deal with like some of the Power Knights that are running around. It's also really good into obviously reversing the Trick Room, because this can run like Trick Room in Prison as well. It also gives you Redirection, which I think is really good with the Urshifu. I think it's like just like, yeah, like I think Single Strike really, really likes having someone redirect for it. And then some of the other ones you can also slap in this slot is, you know, there's always Charizard. These two are like going Scarf on, so you can go like for a solar powered Charizard with Choice Scarf. I think that's pretty good. There's also the new Hisuian Typhlosion, which also I think with Choice Scarf on a team like this is really damn good, because obviously, you know, you just fire off some Terra Fire eruptions. But yeah, in terms of the set, I'll only really touch on Torn here. The rest are just all really up to you. I like going max bulk. I like running this to about 140 because it helps you outspeed the things like the Urshifus that are normally, as I said, I like to run to 139, but again, it's up to you. You can run faster if you want. I normally just go to like the breakpoint here, go modest, like run this up to like about, I think I go like 116, something like that. I think it is. Something like this I run. Yeah, something around those lines. But yeah, it's a pretty standard set for Torn, but yeah, pretty damn good. Now, the other version of Torn, which is probably my preference, it's basically the exact same set, but instead of Sunny Day, you go Rain Dance. And then the core around it kind of changes, obviously. So, Flutter Mane is still like a pretty big staple with Tornadus. It loves Tailwind, right? This mon's just really good under it. And the other one is our other Urshifu Single Strike. Now, this is without a doubt my favorite way to play Urshifu right now. Urshifu Rapid Strike is probably my favorite Pokemon right now to play with. Pretty similar set to what we just looked at before. Actually, I won't chuck it in, otherwise we'll be here all day. But yeah, I love this thing in Rain. I think these three as a core is just absolutely fantastic. And then the ones you kind of want to pair with it, again, it really comes down to, I guess, what you feel you need. Rillaboom is a fantastic Pokemon on this team. As we said at the start, Rillaboom paired up with the both the Rain and the Tailwind is fantastic. It gives you Fake Out support as well, which again, Urshifus love, because you get into this position where, you know, you say something dies next to your Urshifu, you bring in Rillaboom for free, and then it's like, all right, well, you're either getting Faked Out and Surging Strike and dying, or, you know, you're clicking Protect so you don't get the Fake Out, but then you're dying to Surging Strike. It's like then you're switching in, but then something has to switch into like a Surging Strike in the Rain. It makes for a lot of really good pins. And I really do love this, like, Rillaboom kind of paired up with this core. Some of the other mons you can look at as well, I think Heatran, like, again, just a great fire type for cores like this. I also love Basculegion. Basculegion is a mon that is definitely on the up right now. I think a lot of people on a team like this would look at it and probably run Swift Swim. And I mean, Swift Swim's definitely good, but I think adaptability on a team like this with something like Life Orb is also really sick. Like, this mon is like super tanky. Like, its defensive stats are like kind of average, but this HP stat is insane. Its attack stat with adaptability is also like pretty damn good as well. And then obviously, you know, it gets access to Wave Crash in the rain, which is insane. Aqua Jet again is insane. And then it gets this little new ghost move that like, I've had games where you bring this in late game, it's 200 base power, and you just start KOing everything. Like, I'm pretty sure I had a game where I KO'd a Hisui and Gudra who was +2 from like 50%. I just one-shot it, just bop, gone, removed it from the game. So yeah, that is pretty damn good. Some other partners too. I mean, we touched on it before. Indeedee can be really good on this team just because it allows you to like basically stop Trick Room. It also allows Pokemon like Basculegion and Urshifu again to kind of just do its thing, right? Like, you get it in the late game, and then it's like, oh crap, well, you can't actually one-shot Indeedee anymore, and then it kind of just, yeah, it runs through you. Another one as well, I don't think I touched on actually in the first part there, was actually Sneasler. Sneasler Rillaboom, especially in Tailwind, is insane. If you proc your Unburden, and you're in Tailwind, there's nothing faster than you. Like, yeah, like Unburden in Tailwind, it outspeeds all the Swift Swimmers, it outspeeds Alecki in Tailwind, it outspeeds Bundle in Tailwind. But yeah, this one goes absolutely insane. Obviously, you run it with something like Grassy Seed, pair it up with the Rillaboom. It is really damn good. And then I guess, like, you know, again, if you want a fire type, Chiyu's always there. Like, you could always run Chiyu on a team like this. Obviously, you know, you want to run Rain, but yeah, Chiyu is still really damn good. And then just the last two mons, I think that is just really good on every team right now. It's just Dragonite and Chien-Pao. Very basic sets. We'll go over them in a second anyway, because they are the next team I want to talk about. So I do think Powknight is probably like the best combo right now. I'm not gonna lie. In my opinion, it's pretty damn busted. So it's just, you just do this, yeah. You just go that, you go Adamant, do that one. Chien-Pao, same shit as always. You just go like Focus Sash, you just go the very basic set, yeah. It's like Sucker Punch, it's Ice Spinner, because obviously you need to run Ice Spinner for the Indeedees going around. It's Protect, and then it's whatever you want. You can go Sacred Sword. If you really want, you can go like Throat Chop. And then I guess the last one to really round out the Powknight right now is Urshi. So I've been kind of referring to this core as like the Urshifu core. I think they're both insanely good. Obviously, it's team dependent what you need. But I do like the Dark type in particular on this team because, I mean, you run something like either Choice... you can't run Ban because obviously Ban's on your D-Knight there. But if you go like, say, Black Glasses... Black Glasses with Terra Dark just starts to absolutely nuke everything, right? This mon is insane. Wicked Blow is so damn strong. Sucker Punch, again, next to Power, is so damn strong. A stab CC from this thing, look at this attack stat. You don't want to eat a CC from this band. It's insane. Then you can go Protect. Obviously, you can always run things like AV as well. Like AV Terra Poison is probably pretty good. But yeah, I definitely think this here is like one of the best cores in the game. You probably want like a different Terra on this, probably like Terra Ghost, just to help for like the mirror matchup. But yeah, this core here is absolutely bonkers. And I guess what it really likes to play with as well, it definitely does not mind Tornadus. Tornadus giving it, you know, the Taunt is really good. Obviously, Tailwind can be great in certain matchups, but most of the time you're clicking priority moves anyway. Taunt's pretty good. I do love Amoonguss as well. I think, you know, we said it earlier, Amoonguss and Urshifu Single Strike is like such a, like... it's such a strong combo, and not to mention this is like your answer into the Rapid Strike Urshifus. Like, you just wall it, you kill it with the Rocky Helmet there. Obviously, you know, everyone's favorite Pokemon, Fluttermane, it always fits into these, you know, kind of offensive teams. Golden Go, he also, I don't know if I actually touched on Golden Go before, but Golden Go loves Tailwind. A lot of people right now are running like Choice Specs Golden Go because it's just like, it's a nuke. It's to me, it's pretty similar to why D-Knight right now is so strong. D-Knight is so strong because the meta's so offensive, and because the meta's offensive, they can't really take hits. And, you know, Terra Normal E-Speed from a D-Knight is like going straight through people, and same thing with Choice Specs Golden Go. A lot of people are running Terra Steel just so the Make It Rain just like goes bang. Right, you just go like this, you go like Modest, and then it's just a nuke, right? You're just blowing things up. Nothing wants to eat this Make It Rain. Not to mention, I mean, Shadow Ball and Thunderbolt are just like such a nice combo. And even right now, Trick is something else we're seeing get a lot of play. It's really good for the Amoongusses and whatnot. But yeah, like a core like this is just... it's very good and very hard to deal with. Heatran's another Pokemon as well. If you want like a, like obviously this team here is really weak to Fairy, so like Golden Go fills that slot well. Because of that, Amoonguss is really good, and then Heatran is also just fantastic. Like it can come in with an Assault Vest and absolutely wall any Fairy in the meta. So the next team I actually want to look at is a team I'm going to call Scooteezy Screens. Now, I am definitely not the I'm definitely not the creator of, you know, screens, but I feel like this is a concept that's not getting played a lot right now. And the other day, me and the homie Lukey were messing around with this core here in particular, and we actually think it's insanely good. We got up to about 1500 on Showdown. I think it was good enough for about top 100 at the time. And this core is honestly just insane. Basically, the gist of the core is this, right? So you got your screen setter in Grimmsnarl. Everyone knows what Grimmsnarl does. This guy is a bit annoying. You know, you go Parting Shot. I think it's fantastic on this team. And then Spirit Break. Yeah, you just want to, you know, really be able to deal with some of those more annoying Pokemon. For a Terra, your Terra is not that big a deal. I think we ran Fire just to like eat fairy moves, like basically to help us into Flutterfish. Yeah, this mon also is insanely good in my opinion. I like Citrus on it. You could probably also afford to go lefties as well. Again, it's up to you, but with Fiery Wrath being like probably the greatest signature, I don't want to say it's the greatest signature move because like moves like Make It Rain and shit are really good too, but Fiery Wrath is just such a consistently good move. It's actually kind of crazy. You pair it up with Air Slash, you go like something like a Nasty Plot and Protect, and this mon, it becomes insane. I personally love running like super bulky, you know, put a little bit of special attack in there because obviously you need it, run a little bit of speed for speed creeping, and then just dump the rest in defense. And this mon becomes like, you look at these defensive stats here paired up with screens, it becomes absolutely insane. And then to pair it off is the last guy here, Gudra. I love this mon with Shell Armor. It absolutely walls out the Urshifu forms if you get it off. Your Terra can be, you know, many different things. I think Grass is really good. I personally like going Terra Water. But yeah, you could go a lot of different Terras. And I think the reason this mon here is so good is Acid Armor. Now, don't run Shelter. I know Shelter is its like signature move. Shelter has 16 PP. Acid Armor is the exact same move with double the PP. That's why we run that. But this mon with 0 investment can one-shot a Fluttermane with Heavy Slam, which is fantastic. And then Body Press right now is just a fantastic move into the meta. A lot of teams are really using Pokemon like Heatran to kind of wall out a lot of big threats. And at +2, you just one-shot a Heatran. If they Terra out of it, I think at +3, you two-shot it always. So it is, yeah, just a fantastic fantastic set on this Pokemon. I really do think this is something that is really underrated. As I said, we had a lot of success with it, and the mon is like super easy to build. It's literally just this. This is all you build on it. Bang, that's your Pokemon right there, boys. Super easy set to build, and it's just it's actually, that's wrong. You don't go that. I lied. You go this. Yeah, that's your set there. But yeah, this mon is just so freaking good. Like, it is so bulky. With this special defense, like, look at this special defense stat, and all you're doing is like putting this in it. And like, and the reason as well we're going careful over, say, something like Impish is just because if you have a look at how like strong this is without it, it's 170, which means if we put our nature here, we actually get 2 more EV points than if we were to put it into the defense here, because we're only at 150. So you would get 15 instead of 17. But yeah, these 3 here are absolutely insane. They carried us a lot. But the mons you kind of want to pair with this, normally it's stuff that heals. I think Amoonguss and Cresselia are like the 2 best with this team because, again, this team is really slow. So if you're going up against something a bit more hyper offensive, being able to set the Trick Room for yourself is like really good. Not to mention, a team like this being slow can get punished a lot by Amoonguss. So this Pokemon here with Safety Goggles and Lunar Blessing, just, it heals your allies and it wakes them up. It's fantastic. I guess to round it out as well, I do really like Rillaboom with this core. I don't know if I would run, if you're able to run this 6 series though, it's probably a little too passive. In this last slot, I do think you kind of need something a bit more offensive. Fluttermane is one we tested quite a bit. I really do like Fluttermane. It gives you a fast option, especially with like a boost to speed. It allows you to, you know, come in and clean up some of the mons that you know, maybe you need to clean up late game. Other options too are Urshifu. I think Urshifu Rapid Strike is really good behind screens, especially if you two were just like slap something like an Assault Vest on this and play it with screens. Aqua Jet's obviously really good, Surging Strike, Close Combat. It's really nice. The other one though that we have actually been talking about testing here as well is Basculin Legion. I think Basculin Legion on screens is insane because, again, we talked about how this mon's HP stat is already so high that with the HP stat being so high, you get such good returns on the defensive stats being just like boosted by screens that this mod's really damn good. And again, because you're not playing this in range, you can afford to run adaptability and not have to worry about it. And then, you know, you run something like, you know, that with like a Mystic Water, and all of a sudden this mon behind screens is absolutely insane. And then also you've got these two mons here that are able to heal you up. You know, you've got the Polen Pop on this, you've got the, you know, Lunar Blessing. You're able to make sure Basculegion doesn't just kill itself on the wave crashes. And it's, yeah, I think it's like a really, really good core. I guess as well, if you did want like, if you didn't want to play Amoonguss, you could run Indeedee in this slot. Again, redirection is like king. It's also really good into stopping some of the priority moves, obviously. But there is, I guess, one other mode as well that this team kind of does struggle with, and it's why we ended up going with Flutter Mane for a bit. And that is actually the next core we're going to talk about, and that is Regidrago. So, as we said, Regidrago is the mon we're going to talk about here. Now, this is a very, very interesting Pokemon. So, when you look at its stats, this thing has an insane HP stat, really good, you know, offensive stats, terrible defense, and then decent speed. So obviously bad defense is made up by the fact that it has like pretty decent HP, but this mon also has a little set, right? So you've got this Dragonmore, very similar to Regieleki. It's basically a choice specs buff, but unlike Regieleki, it has this little move here called Dragon Energy. This is basically a Dragon type eruption. Now, in my experience playing against this, you know, they'll pair this up with some speed control. So Tornadus, obviously, you know, best tailwind setter in the game. We've probably had it on half the teams already. You slap it on here, you click the old tailwind, you make the Regidrago the fastest thing on the field, it nukes it, and then it's like, okay, well, he like, maybe he doesn't kill you, or like maybe you get a sucker punch off. It's okay, you know, it's like, all right, he can't kill me anymore. Wrong, Draco Meteor just nukes you. Like, you run something like this, like just max, you probably, like, I want to say you have to run Timid, but I feel like if you're a good player, you can probably play around Modest, like that little bit of extra, special attack goes a long way. But yeah, this mon is just a nuke. It now has access to Earth Power as well. It also has access to Flash Cannon. Wait, am I wrong? Oh no, Terra Steel, I'm an idiot. But yeah, it has that. You run something like this. It's a pretty good set. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I've only seen Regidrago like above 1500, but every time I see Regidrago, this thing cooks me. Every freaking time I see this thing, it cooks me. But yeah, this right here is like kind of the core. Like you're just running these two as your primary ones, and then from there, it's really up to you. I think Regidrago loves two things. It loves redirection and it loves fake out. If you want fake out, I think your best options are always Rillaboom or Iron Hands, right? One of these two mons are fantastic. And then you probably want some redirection. So either like Amoonguss. So like if I was going to run like Amoonguss personally, I would probably run Iron Hands in this slot. Because again, I think Amoonguss Hands is like, you know, another really good mode. And the other one too is Indeedee, you know. And I think the reason Indeedee is so good as well is because, as we said, speed, like you need to go first on Draco. That is the most important thing. Also, Draco hates being hit by priority moves, you know, sucker punches, E-speeds. It basically does not want to get chipped down before it can get its Dragon Energy off. And in cases like that, obviously, you know, running something like Indeedee with redirection, you know, maybe you slap a Rocky Helmet on this. You know, you got the Follow Me. And between Psychic Surge and Follow Me, and then also Trick Room, because like if your opponent's like running hyper offensive, you just get the Trick Room in, and then all of a sudden Drago's still the fastest thing because it's under Trick Room, then under Tailwind. So one of these two is like really good. Probably I would probably lean towards these two being like the better core. And then I guess from there, really all Draco needs is kind of just like maybe something like Cresselia to heal it back up. You know, between obviously Rillaboom and Cresselia, you're able to heal it up. Cresselia obviously gives you another Trick Room user as well, which is really damn good. And then things just like Intimidate, you know, you can go for like your Arcanines of the world. You can go for your Landorus as well. I do think like Lando paired up with this team is really good because pretty similar to Draco, it has this speed tier. Same with Rillaboom as well, where if you're up against a super hyper offensive team, you can play this thing under Trick Room pretty fine. You know, even if you just run the speed up to like 120, you're probably still gonna underspeed everything in Trick Room. So you'd be fastest in Trick Room, sorry. But if you're going up against a balanced team, obviously, who are like, you know, kind of like these Rillabooms without any real speed control, obviously Tornadus' Tailwind just allows you to go first, and having, you know, the ability to Intimidate, you can fire off EQs next to these two as well. It's just a really good core. Obviously, if you're gonna go EQ though, you can't bring Rillaboom. But yeah, this is definitely one of the more underexplored cores in my opinion. As I said, I'm only seeing this on really high ladder, but as I said, every time I see this thing, it messes me up. I think it is really good, and it's definitely a sleeper pick right now. Now, I'm sure you've all been wondering where it was, and that's Ursaluna. So Ursaluna is the next one we're going to talk about here. Ursaluna, I think people have started to realize that like a hard Trick Room team built around Ursaluna maybe isn't necessarily the best. It's still good, don't get me wrong. I've definitely got a team for like a hard Trick Room Ursaluna that we'll go over shortly, but I think people have started to realize that like Ursaluna balance might actually be better rather than trying to like, you know, make sure you underspeed everything. Just being able to just, I guess, just tank things and fight is really damn good. So obviously, you know, you're running Facade. A lot of people are running Headlong just because like EQ is like a bit rough into the Rillaboom's running around. You're running Protect, and then from there, I think a lot of people are going with like Crunch. The reason you run Crunch is basically because a lot of Ursalunas are going Ghost. And Crunch is just really good for that. And then in terms of the EVs, honestly, this is fine. Like, I was talking to one of the homies the other day about running special defense, like dropping this down and like bumping this up. And it honestly just doesn't seem worth it. Like, it does feel like just going max is the best play on this Pokemon. If you're running it outside of Tailwind too, you can probably slap like 1 point in speed there just to outspeed other Lunas. But I think Ursaluna's best friend is Cresselia. Everyone knows that. It doesn't matter if you're playing, you know, Luna Balance, Luna Trick Room, whatever it is. Luna loves Cress. These two Pokemon, they just go hand in hand. You can either run like Mental Herb or you can run Covert Cloak. If you go Covert Cloak, I think Terra Ghost. If you go Mental Herb, you can run probably Terra Fairy. They're all pretty good. It really just depends. You know, if you want to be able to like say tank an Urshifu Dark, obviously, you know, you want to be able to go for like say Covert Cloak, so you want to be able to go like Mental Herb plus Terra Fairy, but again, on something like this, I'd probably go with the old Dark, just so you can't get Prankster taunted by the Thundies and the Taunts running around everywhere. And then this core also, because it's like a balanced team as well, you love a Moongus, right? You love to just be able to, I always type in Shroom there, man. You just want to be able to like redirect for the Luna. You maybe want to be able to put something to sleep for it, because a lot of people, like what they'll do as well is you can play like mind games where I think you always run Protect on this mod now. Like, say you leave, like, Luna and Shroom, everyone's like, oh, well, okay, the Luna's just protecting here. Just aim the Shroom, yeah? And it's like, you just protect the Shroom and then just, like, fire off a Headlong Rush. And it's like, yeah, you don't have Guts boosted, but you still hit harder than, like, a Great Tusk does. Like, a Headlong Rush from this is still one-shotting you if you are weak to it, so yeah, something like that is really good. And then really just to round out the team, it comes down to a lot of just your basic balance mod, right? Your Rillaboom is fantastic on a team like this, especially if you're not running Earthquake. Lando is like, you know, best Intimidate user right now. You've also got the Urshifus. I think both Urshifus are great with this. You know, it just breaks holes. They just break holes open for Ursaluna, so they're both fantastic. Fluttermane's another great mon. You know, you build it bulky, you run it with, you know, a Moongus and whatnot, and you're able to just fire off stuff, especially next to Rillaboom as well. It's really, really damn good. Tornadus is another mon as well that works. Like, obviously, you know, you could run, say, like 4 offensive mons and then just, like, Luna and Cress on the side there. Just for, like, a potential Trick Room mode if your opponent goes for a Trick Room mode, obviously. I do think also Palafin, like, Palafin's not really a Pokemon we've spoken about today. I think Palafin is still really damn good. Everyone's just got new toy syndrome with, the Urshifu Rapid Strike right now, so everyone's kind of like forgetting about Palafin. And then, as we said earlier, I think just Indeedee just like always good. Indeedee's this like weird one where it's like, it's not the best Trick Room setter, it's definitely not the best redirection, but it kind of gives you, you know, a bit of both, right? If you say you didn't want Cress and Shroom on the same team, then it's like just slap Indeedee. It kind of does a similar thing. Obviously, it doesn't have the healing abilities that they do, but it has the redirection, the Trick Room, and the ability to stop priority. So it's, yeah, it's pretty damn good, and I do think Ursa Balance is definitely a bit underexplored right now. So I guess just continuing on from the Ursaluna like ways to play, obviously there is the hard Trick Room mode on this one. We said it before, your options are either like Terra Fairy with Mental Herb or Covert Cloak with Terra Dark. They're probably the best 2 ways to run this mon. Obviously it's your Trick Room mon and your Luna Blessing mon. A cool interaction too is you actually heal the burn off your Ursaluna after they get their attack off in Trick Room, which then reapplies the burn, but they don't take the tick of burn damage, which is, I guess, it's something small, but it's pretty damn cool. And then I guess on stuff like this, you know, it's kind of like I think we kind of touched on it at the start of the format. It's kind of just your pretty classic way to really to run Trick Room, right? You know, Enamorus is really good here. You've got Glastrier, which is like another insanely good Pokemon on the Trick Room. You probably want to fake out mon. Your options are like Rillaboom. Like Rillaboom's good, but like if you want to run Earthquake, I think you're better off going for something, say like Iron Hands. Iron Hands can be really good. And then ideally, you just want a second Trick Room setter. And we touched on it before, you know, when it comes to Trick Room, you've got Bronzong, I think, which is a fantastic option. You also have options like Indeedee. I think Indeedee F is still really good. It works fantastically with, you know, Hands and Glastrier, even Enamorus as well to some degree. It's just a fantastic support for all of them. I guess as well, if you want like something, say, a more offensive option, you could always go like Flutter Mane with Trick Room here. You know, it's pretty obvious if you have like a Flutter Mane on this that it's like your secondary Trick Room setter. But obviously, you know, if your opponent is also running something really slow, and it's kind of like neither one of you wants to set the Trick Room, the Flutter Mane can just come out and just start nuking things. And then I guess the last one here as well is just Amoonguss. Amoonguss is just obviously really good. You can run this thing, you know, 0 speed, you know, run like a defensive Terra Cell like Terra Water on it, and that helps you out into things like, you know, the Torkoals of the world, where you're able to eat the Eruption, put it to sleep, and then go from there. Now, speaking of the Torkoals, that is the next one. This is like the new Sunroom team. Now, Sunroom, in my opinion, is definitely on the way up with the new Lilligant. Obviously, this Lilligant is a bit faster than the old one. It does the exact same stuff, though, just with better moves. You've got Close Combat, you've got Solar Blade, then you've obviously got your After You, and you've got your Sleep Powder. It's basically just a better version of the previous one that we've had. Terra Ghost is really good on this one as well. And you run that with something like, say, like a Focus Sash, right? Well, that's a Focus Band, Scott. God damn it, Focus Sash. Focus Sash, and then you've got your Torkoals as well. They just run the pretty stock standard Charcoals, right? Obviously you want that's Shell Armor. You want Drought, and you just want like Eruption Heatwave, yeah? You want something pretty stock standard, just really, really good set. You can also just run like, you know, your Quiet. Quiet 252 is really damn good, yeah? But then I guess the question is, what do you build around it? So, in my opinion, in my experience, you know, watching people who play it, you know, doing a little testing myself, there are 3 Pokemon you always pair on a Sunroom team. So the first one is Indeedee. Indeedee is probably your best best Trick Room setter, because again, teams like this, like when you have Torkoal can be pretty damn susceptible to things like E-Speed, Sucker Punches, and whatnot, and you just want to make sure they can't chip you before you get off your Eruptions. The other options as well that are pretty damn good is your Ursaluna. That's our friend from before. I think Ursaluna fits this really damn well as just like a new physical attacker, where it's like, if you can get it in the sun, After You just start firing off facades, you know, headlong rushes, it's really good. And then the last one too is Hat. Now, it's pretty interesting that Hat has kind of taken over the spot of Armarouge with Indeedee, but it does give you a second Trick Room setter where you can like slap a Covet Cloak on this one. And then basically just go to town, right? Like you go Covet Cloak, you go Magic Bounce, you can't be taunted, you get up the Trick Room, and then with this, like you look at this special attack, so that's really good, man. This hits harder than a lot of Pokemon in the format right now. Like, it's really good. It has a really nice dual typing as well in terms of offensive with like Dazzling Gleam plus Psychic. That's Psybeam, god damn. But yeah, it's a really, really good mon, and I think this core here, like this core 5 is like, it's probably the core 5 you want, right? At least if you're running Sunroom. I definitely think it is the best 5 for Sunroom. And then in terms of like that last slot, this all comes down to what you want. Iron Hands is always great. You know, Iron Hands plus Hatterene allows you to get up Trick Room 90% of the time, right? You just fake out and then you Trick Room. Obviously, you know, you can potentially slap a Rillaboom in there if you want as well. Flutter Mane is another great option as well. Flutter Mane, obviously, it loves being on Sun. It gives you that second mon outside of the Trick Room that can also potentially set the Trick Room for you. And then what else can we go? Obviously Glastrier. I think Glastrier is always good under Trick Room. You want to just make sure, obviously, you're not eating any opposing fire moves in Trick Room. And then lastly, really, it's just the Armarouge. We touched on it before. Oh my god, Scott. Armarouge. This one, just you pair it with Indeedee, and yeah, it goes crazy, right? You can go for Life Orb, Twisted Spoon, could potentially throw your Covet Cloak on this as well. But you've just got this nuke right here called Expanding Force. And when the meta is as offensive as it is right now, I think Armarouge just goes in with Expanding Force. It's absolutely insane. Now, the last one here I really want to talk about is Thundurus. So, Thundurus is a bit different to Torn, right? So Torn is this like very offensive, you know, support, whereas Thundy is still pretty damn offensive, but I think it works a lot better with more balanced teams than Torn does at times. So you've got your main stab, which is T-Bolt, and then this one has this cool move called Eerie Impulse, which is like really good at just basically like shutting down opposing Flutter Manes and whatnot, like these really strong special attackers. You basically just say, no, you're not playing this game. It has options to like Thunder Wave and Scary Face. That's kind of your speed control option on a team like this, and then you've just got things like Taunt. This is a really, really good support that probably wants to play with like things like our common Fire Water Grass we spoke about at the start. Obviously like Rilla, we got Rilla, Shifu, and Tran, which I think it's just like a core like this is really damn good. Like maybe I should have spoken about these guys, you know, in the first team, you know, say like Thundy instead of that Torn slot. But I do think it is a bit different. Obviously Sneasler, I did touch on that a bit earlier. Sneasler really is always good. This team also loves like mods like Lando. Like Lando can just like be that pivot again. You know, you pair up like things like Rilla and Lando where you just fake out Intimidate cycling. It becomes really annoying. This is also another potential fake out mod as well if you run something like Grassy Seed. This team obviously it also loves things like Amoonguss. It loves the Flutter mains of the world. But the last one I will touch on is actually as well the other version of Enamorus. So what makes this mon so good with this team is Contrary. So basically with Contrary, what you can actually do is, yeah, go this here, Eerie Impulse plus Scary Face. So if your opponent has, say, a pretty good offensive team and maybe you need a bit of speed, you just self Scary Face your Enamorus, and then like, you know, between like Moonblast, Springtide Storm. I don't know if you actually want Springtide on this. I do think Gleam might actually be better, but then you run just like Earth Power Protect. Yeah, it's really good coverage. Basically Earth Power hits everything that the fairy moves don't. But yeah, you know, you can give yourself you know, +2 to your speed if you want. If you're playing against something that's, you know, say like a really bulky slow team where you don't need the speed, you just, you know, Eerie Impulse yourself and you fire off like a Terra Fairy, you know, Dazzling Gleam or a Springtide Storm or something like that and nuke. It's a really cool way to play it. It's definitely something I need to practice with a bit more myself. But yeah, this is just like kind of just basically more like a Thundurus balanced team, right? It's pretty similar to the first team we looked at, but you kind of you've got Thundurus at the helm and then you're kind of building around it. I'll quickly, I guess, finish off a set for this just because I like to do it for, you know, the main ones. Your options are either Covet Cloak, pretty similar to the other one. It's like you can go like Covet Cloak and then maybe just like a bit more of a defensive typing, maybe like a Terra Steel, or you could go like Mental Herb, Terra Ghost, similar to before. You probably do want to run a bit of speed on this. I don't know how much exactly, like, is maybe like 150 Timid the play? I don't know, it's hard, right? Because like basically you want to make sure you outspeed other Thundies and Tawns, but you also want to have like as much bulk as possible, right? So like something like that could be like pretty good. Even if you just like run this to like 100 and then just go like that or something. Chuck that last point in there. But yeah, you just want to like basically be able to basically just want to be able to survive, fire off taunts, Scary Faces, Eerie Impulses, just basically neuter teams, be really strong. As we said too, you can always go like Thunderwave in this slot and just like start paralyzing everything. And yeah, it's a really good core. Definitely something I want to practice with and probably hopefully get a video out in the next week or so with it as well. But guys, that will be it. Obviously we just spent quite a while talking about a lot of the top teams. Let me know what you think of those cores though. I did intentionally leave Regidrago out of it, just to see if anyone actually noticed. If you made it this far in, Regidrago basically fits on a lot of those teams as well. I think it's fantastic with the Fire, Water, Grass core. It's great on those Tornadus hyper offensive teams. It's great with the Power Knight. Yeah, it also works decently on those screen teams as well. One core as well I didn't touch on in this video, but if you saw Friday's one about the what was it called, Zoroark, you can blow it up next to Zoroark, which is pretty fun. But yeah, I'm definitely curious to see if people actually call me out for not mentioning Eleki any earlier than this. But anyway guys, I've been rambling on long enough. If you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know what you want to see next time, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.